Oh yeah. Welcome everybody to the Bhagavad Gita Studies Fun Abend. So maybe you can sit the other side around and we can sit in a circle.
Yes.
Where? There? Yeah, like this, so that we can have this here in the front. Yeah, and iedereen heeft de Bhagavad Gita? Hier nicht? I can give you a Dutch one, yeah, it's better vielleicht. But we will make the program in English.
Yeah, so give me an English one, please.
Better, huh?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. Where should we?
We're in a circle.
Yeah.
It's a little bit than that, so we have to move.
Okay, so what we are doing today is something very important. We try to penetrate the Bhagavad Gita in a systematic way. Yeah. So the idea is to do this regularly, to come together and speak about the content and the background, the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, to come closer to it. So it's actually a very strong desire of Srila Prabhupada. He established it already in the 70s. Yeah? He established that all the devotees should go through studies. He called it Bhakti Shastri, where the basic books, somebody knows which are the basic books which we should study? You know what I mean by maybe?
Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavatam.
This is already a bit elevated.
I don't know which is.
It's a good try, but it's the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, because the
It's
main...
just a chapter from
Exactly. Yeah, that's very good. Good to know. Somebody heard already from Mahabharata?
No.
Somebody heard not from Mahabharata? You heard not maybe?
No, it was in the Bhagavad Gita, it was written about it.
Was something written about it, yeah. I will come later to the Mahabharata. You cannot avoid Mahabharata if you want to understand Bhagavad Gita, but it's also not necessary to understand the philosophical message of the Bhagavad Gita without Mahabharata. You can just read it without, and still the philosophical message is clear, but it's still very helpful to know what is Mahabharata all about, what is the message, what is the story. Here.
Now do you have Bhagavad Gita?
Bhagavad Gita? Yes, more. Okay, we have Bhagavad Gita as basic studies. What is another book? Ishupanishad. Nectar of Devotion and Instruction. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu original and Upadeshamrita. So these are the basic books you study when you go through Bhakti Shastri course. And there are many different Bhakti Shastri courses in the last years. It started in the 80s when the devotees really systematically offered courses. It started in Vrindavan, yeah, with Bhajan Prabhu. And now it's all over the world. Yeah, in Radhadesh we can go there and study Bhakti Shastri. Then there's and even online at home, yeah, there are many offers to go systematically through all these 4 books. Next level, Bhakti Vaibhava, is Bhagavatam. Half of Bhagavatam only. To go really step by step, canto, book by book, and chapter by chapter through the essence, yeah, what is the philosophical essence of this book. And then you have Bhakti Vigyana. I don't know, there are 2 more, and only few people did it around here. So I also did only Bhakti Shastri, yeah, so. But it was like 3 months, intense study, yeah, from morning to evening of these books. Bhagavad Gita, Ishupanishad. Ishupanishad is a very small, thin book. Also the Upadeshamrita, very thin book, and Nectar of Devotion is a very thick book. there's a lot to study, and you cannot really study everything. We studied only the first chapter, first wave, it's called.
Is
Oké.
Nectar of Devotion nectarzee van zuivere liefde? Dat is hetzelfde?
Denk ik toch, ja. Maar dat weet ik het nu niet.
Weet jij dat?
zeker.
Wat dan niet?
Is Nectar of Devotion, is dat vertaald
Nectar.
nectarzee van zuivere liefde?
Ik denk het wel, ja.
Ja, ja.
Klinkt dan maar.
It's pink.
Yeah, I saw it upstairs. It must be the same.
Yeah.
And you should take it from time to time. You can just...
Yeah, I do sometimes.
It's a very nice book.
And I've done Sriya's Upanishad 2 times, Bhagavad Gita 1 time.
So, actually these studies we can do 1 time, 2 time, but it is continuously. It is the very significant thing in a spiritual topic that we can go again and again, deeper and deeper. So it's for those of you here who are now first time confronted with Bhagavad Gita stuff, it's very interesting, very new and exciting, but also for those who go deeper, who had it already 5 times, for them it's still very tasty, very nectarian, because there's so much to understand. Yeah? Once I remember this interview with Jayaveda Swami, he was asked, what is the thing we need in the Hare Krishna movement? What is really now in this time, in the 90s, yeah, it was at this time, what's the next step? And he said, we should actually understand that we are not our body. And this is the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's very basic. It's not about Krishna and the gopis and the spiritual world and what is happening. We have to understand the basic things at first. And this is always and also connected to Krishna. So, on also all the other spiritual topics, yeah, this is spiritual lila. Somebody knows, does not know lila? Or somebody knows and can say something?
What this is?
What it is, yeah? How would you translate it or explain
No.
it?
Lila?
Yeah?
Spel met mij.
Pastimes.
What?
Is it
Oh,
play?
pastimes.
Pastime. It's a very special form of revealing mood and relationships in the spiritual world. Yeah? Krishna reveals in this way, in these forms of leelas. He gives us entrance, and gives us a glimpse of how it is there with his leelas that he displays in the material world. And
I don't understand what you said. Past.
pastime.
Pastimes. The
Times.
basis of the pastime.
Times that you pass. No?
It's like it's a strange
No,
word.
It's good times that you
Yeah,
spend
Lila.
with someone.
Something
Or something. It's called pastimes.
You cannot
Is it-
separate. It's
it is
one
what,
word.
It's
It's
one word.
one
It's not
word. It's not
pastimes. It's
pastime.
pastime.
It's
Ja, Mina.
It's
Both
the-
pastimes.
Mina,
Yes,
het
it
zijn de
comes from
activiteiten
Hmm?
van Krishna.
Comes
Dus
from
het spel
the-
ervan maken.
Yeah, the play.
Passing
the
time.
spell from
En in
the-
het
okay, yeah.
en in het Engels is
Passing
het
time is different
ja,
from
te
pastime.
vertalen.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. I understand.
So, just to make a long thing short, the story between Arjuna and Krishna and his fight, it's a pastime, yeah? It's a lila, it's called in Sanskrit. It's a divine story, and it shows us so many things. So, and therefore it is just very important and needed and logical that we try to study the scriptures, and that we not just read it once and say, okay, I've done it or finished. So, no, we want to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and the studies we will do here will be very basic. We will not go too deep because the situation. Let's see how far we go. Let's see how far we come. But there's so much to discuss, yeah. And even if we talk for 1 year about the first chapter, it can stay very basic, yeah. I was listening the last days to so many classes about the first chapter from Srila Prabhupada, and he brings so many topics already in the first chapter. Yeah, so many things about Vaishnava philosophy, about the society, about ruling and history and language. So many topics are there included already. Okay, our way of studying will be a soft way, not an academic way. Who has studied in a university? A few? Nobody. Who studied in a university? A few?
Any kind of university.
Yeah, any university, academic field.
Maybe in
So half, yeah. So, yeah,
But it was useless.
it was okay. Maybe you learned something you didn't want to learn. But so there are very helpful things, yeah. That you have certain rules of going into a matter only in an authorized way. Yeah, you need a certain source to to quote. You cannot just claim something in the university. That's like this because I think. No, you have to find somebody who said it, and this is his opinion. He researched it, and then you can say it, and then you can write about it. And the same is in the spiritual science. Yeah? We go to the sources, and we look in the scriptures what they say about it, and then in the same way Srila Prabhupada did it with his purpose. It's actually when you understand what is behind, what is this purport to each shloka, what this consists of, and it's a very scientific way of representing the whole sampradaya. Somebody of you can explain the word sampradaya?
Succession of disciples.
Yeah, or of teachers earlier.
Yeah,
more.
teachers, yeah. Teachers and his disciples.
They are disciples then, yeah.
No, Sampradaya is a different school, and this is Guru Parampara. This is the
but it's
succession.
Yeah, but it's the Sanskrit word of one sampradaya. And there are different sampradayas?
And there are four main sampradayas.
Yeah.
In English we call it different school.
Yes, yes. But they are all in line, so they are connected and they don't step out of it too much. So they refer to each other. Okay, so we at first maybe we want to make some basic rules for communication. What do you think? Shall we just make free speech and then everybody tolerates or respects the other's speech, or shall we make it with hand signs?
Raise hands.
I'm against this.
Okay, we make with raising hands. Everybody is for this?
Like a teacher.
For what?
Old school.
So we have two choices. We can make free speaking, but everybody should respect.
I know, but at what are we sticking our hands up now?
Sorry?
I understand, but what are we sticking our hands up now? For what are we sticking our hands up?
For answering questions or for asking questions or...
Yes,
yeah.
I understand. Okay.
And what is the second choice?
What are we
The first choice is that we just free
first choice.
speaking.
Okay.
Sorry?
And
Yeah,
second?
And the second choice is that we make it with signs.
Second option is better, I think.
Okay, stick hands.
Less
Also,
chaotic.
very adult controlled persons can make it without signs. But
Without sense?
Science.
No, science. Second option.
No.
Are most of you for science or are most of you for free speaking?
I'm for free speaking.
Free speaking?
Second option.
Screaming
loud.
Science,
Science?
actually.
I think it's more organized that we not interrupt the speaker. You know.
Science.
Yes, because
What's your opinion?
Oh yeah, I think also
For science. Okay, then the majority prefers science?
We
So we
combine it
should-
a little bit in the end with free speech.
Yeah. Yeah, discussion will be there, but it's helpful. Otherwise, with free speech, we could also we have the choice of a moderator then, but also naja, I think with the science is the easiest thing. Then so we show when we want to say something, who wants to answer, and if we have questions or something, then and if somebody talks, we let him talk, yeah, and we show that we want to say something to this. Okay. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita we learn about 3 stages of devotees, or 3 levels of devotees. And somebody knows already these 3 levels? Not important to know, I mean later on it's important to know, but it's the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, Uttama Adhikari. You don't have to remember it now, this is really a bit too high, but in this one shloka it says what is the Uttama, the highest devotee. One who is expert in logic and in understanding the revealed scriptures. Expert in logic and in understanding the revealed scriptures, and who always has firm conviction and deep faith that is not blind, is to be considered a topmost devotee in devotional service, Uttama Adhikari. So we have here certain points. Yes, question?
Yes, that word loka. What does it mean? Because you said 2 times already tonight, and I don't know what it means.
Loka.
Yeah. Shloka.
Shloka. Ah, shloka.
I don't know
Shloka,
how this-
this is Sanskrit means verse only.
Oh, verse.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
So
Yeah,
I think like this.
verse.
Yeah.
Okay, then I know that.
Or like this.
No, think with the
The point.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Alright.
in verse only.
Yeah.
Okay. So this shloka shows that if we have an expert logic in Vedic philosophy, and if we have a clear understanding of the revealed scriptures, then we get firm conviction. Conviction is something we cannot buy cheaply. To be convinced of something, you have to work for it. You need some experience and you need some knowledge, and you have deep faith. Faith, such a mystery, such a mysterious thing. Yeah? We will in Bhagavad Gita, when we come later to the 8th chapter, and later on it comes about faith. Such a mysterious thing, how we develop faith in certain things. We cannot just decide, now I have faith in this. But it's explained here, if we study a thing and understand it clearly, faith grows, and then it's not blind anymore. This is a very important thing, that a very advanced devotee of Krishna, he should not have blind faith, because this has very bad side effects, this fanaticism. You have a question?
The devotee of Krishna should not have faith at all.
He should not have faith at all.
No, because if he has faith, he believes. But I don't believe in Krishna.
Well, faith is something we can hardly separate.
Because I know. But is this also
I
faith?
understand. What do you say? You have something?
I think he's right, but it's just a very small detail that we can move on. I mean, he's right, but it's a very fine tuning.
Yeah.
You hear the radio, but you want it extra perfect.
I use it with people who don't believe in God and who
Yeah.
are really vicious in discussion, and I say, oh, it's okay because I don't believe in God also. So,
Yeah.
and I think I know God, you know. But I don't say this, of course.
Yeah, it's a very good point. We will come later to this. Faith is actually described as a part of the soul. It's the nature of the soul, and we always have faith in something. Yeah. But our duty is to guide the faith on the right thing with intelligence, and that's not easy. That's a very subtle process. So we will come to this. Okay, this is just a short, convincing point, so that this Uttamadhikari there. You want to ask something?
which verse is it from?
This is from the
Doesn't matter.
Chaitanya Charitamrita I give you here. It's, for example, described that the beginning stage of devotional service, we are very shaky, and other people can convince us very easily with their philosophy. It's Kanishta Adhikari. But if you come to the platform of Madhyam Adhikari, the middle platform, shall I write it, or is it not so interesting? It's okay.
No, you can just.
Yeah. Madhyam Adhikari, he has some conviction, and you cannot convince him so easily from other philosophies. You cannot shake him so easily. But he has not the power to convince others. Hare Krishna, nice to see you.
This is the second level.
This is the second level. He cannot convince easily other people, but other people also cannot convince him so easily. Madhyam Adhikari. But the Uttama Adhikari, he can convince easily other people. Yeah, we see it with Srila Prabhupada. People who were doubting a lot, they had some discussion with him, and immediately they understood. They were convinced. It made everything sense. Yeah. He had the logic from the Vedanta, from the Vedic scriptures, so deep inside that he could convince other people easily. Yeah. Okay, this is just to inspire us to go deeper into studies, that we finally also come to this point, yeah, of giving knowledge so clearly, because we understood it so clearly, we are so convinced. Okay, let's go to Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita
What
is...
the third?
Sorry?
The third.
The
level.
third
You said
level.
there are three
Uttama.
levels.
Yes, Kanishta, Madhyam and Uttama Adhikari. And the third one, nobody can convince him from something else, and he can convince other people.
So the first one he can convince others. He's convinced and he can convince others.
No, the first, as the floor, ground, the first levels. What was first level? Somebody remembers? Kanishta?
They were very shaky,
Ah,
easy
okay.
to influence.
Yeah, easy to influence.
Okay, I got it.
Everything, okay. Okay, let's go to the Bhagavad Gita. So, Srila Prabhupada wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is. And who of you read Bhagavad Gita already? You are in process? You read it?
No,
Yeah.
process.
In process? In process? Not yet? In process? Not at all.
Not even.
In process? Yeah. Several times. And you read Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something. Or the whole?
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, who skipped the introduction?
Everybody.
You did also. Of course, not everybody. Yeah, some because
Nice.
it's a very nice introduction. It's a very special introduction.
I love
It's about 30 pages or something. Yeah. It's a super long introduction. You think at first?
It's a book by itself.
Hmm?
It's a book by itself.
And it's published as a book in its own. The inlading in Bhagavad Gita, at least in Dutch they did it. Yeah, it's, also in other languages, yeah, in English.
For English.
Yeah, nice. Because it's so potent. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada, he puts everything inside. And we will go a little bit into it, just some basic things. But already the introduction is so, Uttama Adhikari. So he is so convincing. Okay, let's go into it. When we studied the introduction, we had one goal, which was let's see where I have it. Here. Which was to find out the mood and the mission of the Mahabharata. The mood and the mission. It's now here in the middle part because it comes later. Srila Prabhupada explains at first the content of Bhagavad Gita. But because it's not so extensive, it's just like short, he explains the mood and the mission as following. At first he wants to describe Bhagavad Gita as it is. So not just one interpretation of many, because there are like about 400 official interpretations, translations of Bhagavad Gita available, but only a few of them are really in the mood of Sri Krishna, accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality. Most of them, they try to avoid Krishna as God, and they want to establish that the highest is just impersonal energy. And Krishna is also just an illusion from this energy, and he gave this knowledge, and so they misinterpret, so to say, the whole situation. Krishna is giving knowledge and he says, I am the Supreme, several times. There are key shlokas that we will learn afterwards, where it's very clearly in Sanskrit written, where it's very difficult for the Mayavadis, for the impersonalists, to interpret it in an impersonal way, but still they try. So he wants to establish Bhagavad Gita as it is, with the clear message. And so what is the first step he makes is to explain it in the cyclic succession. It will come later, he will make it very clear what is the cyclic succession. For those who have Bhagavad Gita in front of them, they can see the end of the introduction. We have it there, and always when somebody is asking you for the cyclic succession.
I have a question.
Yes?
There are 32 disciples here, starting with Krishna, which is the first, but this is for the last 5,000 years. So
Yes.
how comes it's 32? Because if we divide...
Well, there are some time gaps in between. This is a very interesting topic. It's not like we have it today, that there's one disciple and he is the next guru. Sometimes there are 200 years in between. That it was lost for some time, and then somebody took it up again. He found the scriptures.
Yeah, but then it's a contradiction, because you can only achieve liberation if you are directly initiated by a disciple. So they got initiation from a book. Not
A
from
disciple is not it's not a question of time. It's not a question of time and space, that he has to see him and then he has to get the initiation. It's more a question of consciousness. It's not like we can now go and then every year and we have to understand it more deeper. Yeah, what is?
Yeah, but this leads to interpretation.
No, it leads to that we go more deeper into it. We have to understand what is really meant with a disciple-guru relationship, guru-disciple relationship. To understand that everyone who takes up the mood and the mission, the attitude of a guru, he is his disciple. I mean, he unalterated. This is the point. It's not the point if he met him, or Srila Prabhupada met his guru like 2 or 3 times, not very often. And others, they had so close relationship, constantly, for years, but they didn't take the mood so strong. Not all of them. Yeah. So it's more a question of who really takes this knowledge deeply, lives it and teaches it, unalterated. This is the main point, to not add anything and to not leave anything. And this happened in this way. So we see there are very, very special people here. Brahma, he is still alive, yeah. He is going through the whole universe, so he's here, present.
What?
He is present in the whole universe.
Brahma.
Brahma.
He has a body out of intelligence. So we see this is one of the first here. It's a bit mysterious for us how he gives knowledge then to Narada, and equally, let's say, what is a good word? Schillernd. Surprising person. Yeah, he goes in the spiritual world and comes back and goes to different universes. It's like a hopper. Yeah, so from one place to another, he can travel with time, with the speed of the mind. So he's one of our gurus.
Prabhupada said he's a spiritual astronomer.
Astronomer, exactly. Without spaceship, he's just traveling. So we see already here. So time has there no value. Yeah, this is another dimension. This is another level for us. Okay, Srila Prabhupada pointed here, and especially in the last, when we go to the last 100 years, and then it's very important to see that there is a very close relationship. Yeah, that the disciples took the message clearly and approved it in their writings, yeah, and always pointed back to the scriptures, to their previous acharyas. Somebody has an idea how we can say acharya?
Founder.
Well, that's a new creation, founder acharya. Yeah, it's this is like.
In Dutch it is stichter, acharya.
Acharya, levend voorbeeld.
Exactly. Yeah. Somebody who, the word acharya is somebody who lives the teachings he gives. Yeah. We have the same principle is from Augustinus. He gave this principle. The teacher is only somebody who lives what he teaches. And this means acharya. As soon as somebody realizes his teachings, he becomes an acharya. And automatically people are very impressed and follow him. So some of these people, they are here in this, or all of them are of course acharyas, because they realize completely this knowledge.
And these 32 people, it's the famous one. There are so many in between.
That's a nice point.
If you really like, it's Java Dharma, chapter 12, I think. If you read, there is like thousands of them and the explanation. These are just the famous ones. There was continuous, but these are very famous people and insignificant people for the movement. But there are so many more.
You can see it like the roots of a tree. It goes in so many ways. And then we sit on one point and we go back. We are connected with the tree. But there are others also, of course. Yeah. So in this way, we have to understand this. So Srila Prabhupada, for him it's very important to make clear that he doesn't invent anything. Yeah? And he indeed does not. As soon as we go back to scriptures, especially from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but also from Balavidya Bhushana, and from other acharyas, Sanskrit teachers, people who lived and teach this knowledge, then when we read their comments from the Bhagavad Gita, we see Srila Prabhupada just summarized from all these acharyas the essential points in their purports and made new purports. So what we are going to read is not just his
speculation.
No, not at all. Yeah. It's really very scientific overview.
I heard that Srila Prabhupada asked directly to Krishna if he had questions.
If he had?
If he had questions about translating.
Yeah, probably, because he was in constant contact with Krishna. So he had several meetings with Krishna, he said himself, and the most intimate probably he didn't reveal. Can just speculate about. Some things he revealed, that he had a heart attack on the ship when he came to America, and Krishna came to him.
Yeah.
Well,
2 times.
Yeah.
2 times he had a heart attack, and then he was about to leave the body, and Krishna came and said, "No, you have a mission."
And then Krishna fixed him or something?
And then he was just
his
dead.
tools and
Maybe he had the heart attack because he was meeting Krishna.
Yeah.
In the sense.
So, but he revealed that he had a meeting with Krishna. So, but yeah, also somebody who's in this platform, he has constant contact with Krishna, and there's a, otherwise he could not have wrote so many books.
How many? 70 or 71?
Yeah, about
70 exactly?
in only 10 years, while traveling 14 times around the world, yeah, and having thousands of disciples and all the problems with them, and building so many centers, and so it's very impossible actually to do it. But he was guided by Super Soul, and he used every second of his day very consciously, especially for writing. So he was probably very strongly connected. Okay, so this is the first point he wants to make in the in his introduction, that what he is writing is not just a speculation, it is all based on authoritative scriptures. And what does these authoritative scriptures say? They say that Krishna is the supreme. This is what he wants, or what all the scriptures want to establish. That Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and that he is the supreme goal, that he is absolute, and that his mission, his message, his words, his name, his form, everything is absolute. It's not different from another. So it's a very mysterious point that he makes immediately in the beginning of the introduction. And then he also reveals the mission of Krishna. The mission is to deliver the soul. To deliver all the souls. This is actually his mission. To give this knowledge to everybody so that they can get out of illusion. And the fourth point is finally that he makes clear that this is also the mission of ISKCON. Of course, he says, I founded this movement, or we founded this movement here with this one goal, to teach this knowledge, to give it to each and everybody, so that everybody can use it. Everybody who's somehow ready to take it, that they can use it and make the best out of it, and get out of illusion, out of the false identity, and back to Godhead. So this is one very important basic point that is researched when you're going to study this introduction. But another very nice point that Srila Prabhupada makes is he just summarizes very quickly the main important points of this Bhagavad Gita, the philosophical points. And I just wrote some of them, or all of them here. Somebody knows what are the Jivas? Yes.
Living beings. All
Exactly.
living entities.
Exactly.
so
Yeah. So, souls.
Yeah.
And so then he explains a little bit. It's not just explained who we really are. It's explained very nicely. What is the soul? What is the consistence of the soul? What is actually consciousness? Maybe it's also an important translation. Yes. But on the other side, it's also explained what is the illusion of the soul. False identity. So this is called ahankara. We all have now our false identity. We think we are man or woman, we are in a certain nationality, certain age, and this is ahankara, and it's developed in the subtle body over many lives, and in the gross body in this lifetime. So he explains very nicely, this body is changing all the time, and we change it after it's not usable anymore, like clothes, and we go into another body. And the subtle body, he consists of this and this and this energy. So very nicely explains our new false identity, ahankara. And this is all in the topic of Jiva. This is a very important point actually. When you see Bhagavad Gita as a map, map for this universe and how to get out, then the first important thing, what is the first important thing if you see a map somewhere?
Where you want to get?
Really?
Where am I?
Where am I here on this map? Where are we standing here? And there's no point, you don't find it, it's useless. Yeah? You just see the map, okay, I'm in a super big city, but I don't know where to search. But if you see a red point, that's you. You are standing here in this direction. Then it's very helpful. And then you know, I see, this is the street. In the same way, Sri Krishna reveals at first in Bhagavad Gita what is the soul and who are you. What is your situation? You are eternal soul, you are an illusion, you are here in this material universe, and since many lifetimes you have your self-centered goals. Okay, and then Bhagavad Gita explains Ishvara. How is it translated? Somebody knows?
Highest control?
Highest controller, exactly. So let's say this is the direct translation. But of course, you know, it's simply God. Yeah?
Yeah.
Krishna. So very clearly, step by step, Krishna introduces himself. I'm very powerful. I'm like the thread behind a string of pearls. Yeah? You all have this wonderful string of pearls. You also have it.
Yeah, this is.
And we see it looks very nice. Different colors and different pearls, and it's holding so nicely. Yeah? But you never see the thread. Mostly. Sometimes you can see a little bit, and it's holding everything together. He says this in one shloka, but there are so many verses, shlokas, where he explains himself. In what kind of power he appears in the material world, as in the material manifestations, also in the human being. What abilities, actually he's all the abilities he explains in one verse. And in what ways he reveals himself. How he reveals himself. He explains that he reveals himself to the people like they open up to him. In the same measurement. It's an interesting point that we know I can see God exactly that much as I open up to him. It's an interesting point that will come in the 4th chapter, where it's discussed how Krishna reveals himself in the world. Yeah? Simply as karmic reaction, very impersonal, very far away, because they don't want to see him. He disappears practically, he hides himself. Or very personal, for those who really want to have loving relationship with him. Okay, there are 2 other points. I actually should go here, I just forgot it, but there's a line. Somebody knows what is Prakriti? Yeah, genau, matter. Asasaki knew it. Although you didn't sound
Yeah, I didn't think of it.
This is material matter. So the material energy. What is a typical quality of material energy?
It's death.
It dies.
Not living.
Oh.
Time is a good point.
It dies.
Death.
It's
Very good
temporary.
point.
Temporary.
And I want to write that. It's a very nice point. Death, temporary. That is under time. It's like an own topic in Bhagavad Gita described. But it's true, and I think I know what you want to say. The temporarity. It's just the same. So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself describes it as that which is constantly changing. Yeah, that means temporary. It means the point of death is very important, that we see. Also, I just translated it first. Material energy. Yeah, and constantly changing. Yeah, right. This. Yes, especially one shloka about Prakriti, that is an energy of God which is constantly changing. But we have these 3 energies. Yeah, the Ishvara energy is not only Krishna himself. It's like the sun. He is Ishvara, but the sun rays, they also belong to this field or to this subject here. And also, for example, his expansions, Vishnu, Narayan, and also Radharani, yeah, and all the whole spiritual world actually, whatever we understand from this now, but to understand it's not only one person, there's a whole world behind which belongs to Ishvara. But Jiva is a separate thing in this world, and they have a free will and the possibility to go to choose between these both, to go in the spiritual dimension or to go into the material dimension. So maybe it's good to make it separate, Shivas and material world. Yeah? Prakriti, and it's called Antaranga Shakti. So it's this is the energy which is inside in the spiritual world. And material world, material energy is outside energy, and it's called that energy. And only when living beings go into this world, and also Krishna himself makes this world alive. Yeah, he lifts the planets up, makes them floating, and everything is moving under his control. But only we see death also. Earth is death, and then a Jiva goes in and starts living. Yeah, and then we have a body out of earth and water and all the elements. So we make it alive. Matter in itself is death. It's a very interesting point. So then, and the Jivas, they are switching in between. Yeah, they can choose spiritual dimension or material dimension. So, and then Krishna describes. Yes.
How can it be constantly moving if it's dead? Because you said material.
Changing, not moving.
It's out changing. It's not moving. It's changing.
What do you
There's
think?
a difference. How it can be changing?
Yes.
Yes, that's different than moving. Changing is maybe because of the Ishvara force behind
Exactly.
the
Yes.
source. Yeah. Okay.
And it's also very interesting. He splits in three energies. Somebody knows the three main energies, how he maintains the changing of the material world?
Yes, it's the...
Maybe it's connected, but I'm not sure about this.
No, it's the first one, it's the creation, maintenance and destruction.
Exactly. I mean, this goes already a bit far away from Bhagavad Gita, but there are these three main energies, yeah. Like
and the controllers are Vishnu, which is the creation.
No, this is Brahma.
No.
He is the creative energy.
Vishnu is for the
No, Brahma
maintenance.
is the maintenance.
Nee, Vishnu is for the maintenance.
Oh, okay. Yes, it's good. It's okay.
So it's confusing for somebody, or everybody knows about Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu?
Yes,
know?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So Vishnu is an expansion directly from Krishna. And Brahma is our own soul. It's the first being in this universe. And Shiva is very difficult to explain. Actually, he has a birthday in 2 weeks or something, I'm not sure. That's Shivratri. Yeah. And then maybe we go deeper into the topic of Shiva. It's a very special topic. Well, he is his responsibility of destruction, exactly. So there are these three main energies. Yeah?
Can I add something about Shiva?
Yeah.
Prabhupada said that he's like a Krishna. If Krishna is milk, Shiva is a yogurt.
Yeah.
And Shiva is a Krishna of material world. And like same way, if you put some acid inside the milk, not acid, what do you call it?
Citric acid.
Yeah, it's something you turn the milk to yogurt or something. That's the same thing. If Krishna energy come to the material world, it will become Shiva.
Yeah.
So it's very important.
But he's a demigod.
We will speak
yes,
It's not easy to understand Shiva.
Yes.
It's very difficult
And
topic.
there are so many Shiva. There is not. They have
Yeah.
Sada Shiva, then there are 12 Rudras.
It's really it's an own topic actually in itself. Between Shiva and the spiritual energy, Shiva energy is an own energy.
But excuse me, when you say Brahman was the first soul in this universe, yes?
Yeah.
But Krishna is the super soul creator,
Yeah.
so he created Brahman.
Of course, he created the first being, but only with looking at it. So he was not actively doing anything. The first being doing something.
Yeah, but Krishna was first.
Of course. but not in the universe.
No, the Brahma is the first material body.
Somehow material, only intelligence, but I mean, this is really, maybe this is not the main point. There are some, this comes more in the Bhagavatam then.
The first conditioned being.
Look at this poster behind.
There's a nice poster here behind, we can look at it later if you want to, then I can show you what it means with the first being and so on. It's just, I just wanted to make clear about material energy and how it's changing all the time, yeah? That there are different mechanisms, it's not just said like this, it's very in detail described.
Would it creation?
Sorry?
Maintenance?
Vision.
Vision.
Yes. Okay, we have one more point, this is Kala, somebody knows what it means?
Time.
Time, yeah. So, and this is connecting the three of them, yeah. So he says, I am the eternal time. Also in spiritual world there's time, but it's not working in the same way as here. But what Kala brings is another point, this is karma. It brings a very new point in this four of them. What is connecting the four of these energies, would you say? What is the same or the equal quality of the four of them? Jiva, the living beings, Ishvara, Krishna in his world, Prakriti, material energy, and Kala, eternal time. What they have all in common?
They have their own substance on their own.
Cause and effect? No.
Well, that's true. And that's also true.
They live in interdependency.
That's also true, but that's also for karma, it's also for dharma. What is very special in these four things, these are the four eternal items that are dealt with in Bhagavad Gita. They are eternal. Time is eternal, jivas are eternal, Krishna is eternal, also material energy is eternal. Even if the material energy completely is destroyed and goes back into the original cloud called Mahatattva, it's only the energy of material, but it's still there. The energy is eternal. It will come, manifest, and go back, unmanifested and so on.
Dharma is also eternal. Dharma is also eternal.
Yeah, but that's another point. Sorry. This is not the main topic in Bhagavad Gita. Yes. As these are, as Prabhupada explains that these are the main topics in Bhagavad Gita, and karma is the only one which is temporary. So how karma comes into being, what it exactly is, and how to avoid karma, how to working without karma. So this is the main topic actually in Bhagavad Gita, and how it affects also the living beings, how they are imprisoned by it or entangled, illusioned by their karmic reactions. Okay, and then another point which Srila Prabhupada mentions later on, there's one section where Srila Prabhupada brings these as the main points in Bhagavad Gita, but then he makes this last point, Dharma. So we will come later to it. Somebody knows already what it is? How to translate? Many ways to translate.
There's not one word in English.
Licht.
Licht.
Duty.
Yeah, this is one translation. Exactly.
What?
Duty.
The eternal duty of
Another translation is nature.
Religion.
Religion is often translated as religion, but this is always confusing because we have such a strange concept of religion now. So this is also a very important point in Bhagavad Gita, which will come much later. It's actually the last point then of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so far to the introduction. Also, there's a lot more to say, a lot more, and I just can advise you all to read it again and again. And the best is, of course, I will give you also some homework for the next week, or for in 1 month, that you read what we speak about. Then it's much easier. But now I try to just summarize what is in the introduction, and we can go now to the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Somebody of you has no Gita yet? Everybody has his Gita? You have no Gita? Can I give you the Dutch one? Because I only have a Dutch one. So. Okay. we have now can you please open the page where all the chapters, the content of the Bhagavad Gita is written, and then we can maybe go around and everybody reads the name of one chapter.
Where is that?
Sorry?
Ich hab's nicht in Englisch.
Kannst du es übersetzen ein bisschen, oder?
Manches, ja.
Ja,
Nicht zum Lesen.
ansonsten helfe ich dir. Okay, maybe I can start and then we just go around, yeah? The first chapter, chapter 1, is called Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. What is the second chapter name?
I don't have the book.
Okay, you have your
So
book?
I just listen.
No problem. Second chapter.
In English, it's
Yes. Around, or in Netherlands ook misschien.
it's what is sound of the conclusion?
Summarized.
Summarized of the Gita.
Exactly, yeah. The summary of Bhagavad Gita. Contents of Bhagavad Gita summarized.
Karma Yoga. Chapter
Karma Yoga. Chapter 4.
Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge.
Chapter 5.
Karma Yoga, and it's Action and Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Chapter 6.
Jnana Yoga.
Jnana Yoga. Chapter 7.
Knowledge of the Absolute.
Yes. Chapter 8. Attaining.
Yeah.
Attaining the Supreme.
Attaining the Supreme.
Chapter 9. The most confidential knowledge. Chapter 10.
Oh, sorry. The fullness of the Absolute?
Yes. Or the opulence, it's here translated.
Okay.
Opulence of
Chapter 11, the universal form.
Chapter 12, Devotional Service.
Chapter 13, Nature,
Enjoyer
and Consciousness.
14, the 3 modes of the material nation.
Mm-hmm.
15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person.
16, the divine and demonic natures. Yeah.
Chapter 17. The divisions of faith.
Chapter 18, the conclusion. How do you say it in English?
The perfection of renunciation.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Perfection of enunciation. So, your first homework is to just learn the names of these chapters. It's very helpful to have in mind which chapter has what name, and if you even want to make a little bit more, you look into the description of each chapter, you just get a short overview what this chapter deals with. So it's a very helpful thing, and this was our first homework. So please try to look at it. Actually, it doesn't take long. If you do it several times, it goes deep in. And then later we will now come to the point where we try to get some structure into these chapters. What we have here is some working books, and I would like to part you in groups. Yes, but we have. You don't want? You leave now, or?
I don't know. I wanted to leave earlier, but just
so. So I think you make free. Yeah. So you three are one group, you are one group, and you are one group, okay? And we go, you are three together in one group. So you should move a little bit together. So this is yeah. We have not for everyone, but you have to use together. Yeah. Okay, this is a very nice book. When we go to the first side, it's we now looked at the content of this of the Bhagavad Gita, yeah, you see on the first page. And we do as homework that everybody looks himself. The yoga letter we will do a bit later, then we went through some chapters. And now there comes a very nice summary of each chapter. Yeah? Purpose from Srila Prabhupada to summarize each chapter. You are following? It is on the... Yeah, this is all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Yeah? The yoga letter we will do much later because it's a bit more complex. And here starts the description of each and every chapter. Exactly here. But it's very nice, very short, just by some quotes from Srila Prabhupada, what he said about this chapter, just to bring it to the point, what this chapter is all about. So we will do all this also later. We will just do it today with the first chapter, but we jump over this, further, 3 pages further, we come to the point of Srila Prabhupada's comments on the 3 divisions of Bhagavad Gita.
Which page?
375.
Okay.
So, and it's of course not very fair because the second group has much more to do. Maybe who wants to be the second group? As I would say, maybe you make the first chapters 1 to 6. You read the 3 comments that are there from Srila Prabhupada about the first. You are on the right page?
Yes.
Yes. So you read only this part here.
Okay.
3 together, and then you try to summarize what to explain a little bit. What is the first division of Bhagavad Gita? So you 3, you can go to the division 2, yeah?
Okay.
And you make the last division. Yeah? You just go through it and try to summarize to the point, to explain to the others what is the last division of Bhagavad Gita.
From 13 to 18.
Yes, I'm good. Still, it's too much, I cannot handle it.
From 13 to 18.
Then I will help.
From 13 to 18.
Exactly, yeah.
Good evening. Thank you.
So, yeah. I'm just going to read it first and then try to summarize.
There is some text missing, right?
It's on the next page.
Okay.
And take this one.
Yeah, what do it mean to you? What for you? What's the message for you? What do you understand?
Problems of the human being. And that is God discussed. And that we can find out in yoga. But I mean, this is the same thing.
Listen. Please. Well, it's the same thing where this goes about we are not arguing for souls. We can I don't know how to say it in my own words, maybe.
Yeah, it's so nice described here.
Yeah, but it's not the same. Exactly. How do you understand the superior? devotional service. Also studying not only devotional service, also studying, and to realize that you are not that you are a soul and not a body. It's not so difficult. It's very simple. I mean, it's not simple, but it's simple at the same time. No, but you have Krishna in your heart. You are very self-sufficient. Because all you do is not only for yourself.
Just not.
Because it's not possible then to do it for yourself only.
Within himself.
Hmm?
Like putting simple. Within himself. Like just totally about Krishna. Not even about himself.
Before I thought, when I heard this, I have to do all the Krishna in heart. What are you talking about? All
You are
the
finished.
Shanti.
We can maybe discuss to come to one point. What is the main word?
The main word. Okay, that's good.
And so that the others also can understand. Yeah.
Also, okay. Because I don't know if it's a parables, but
Vibration. Yeah.
That's really hard to understand forever.
Oh, but we have to have one word in a group. We have to come to one word.
You have to understand what it means.
You hear the holidays. This year.
Let's give it.
I think we have internal pages. We are internal. I mean, the same.
Eternal souls.
Yeah, souls.
And not bodies. We are eternal souls. And we are here on earth. Yes, we are souls. We are eternal souls in the body, which is present in our body.
Just think we are eternal souls in the body. But it's a story.
Yeah, I know. It sounds simple, but it's difficult because you know how difficult it is.
All acts should be performed in conjunction.
And yoga is a way to find
Yoga
out.
doesn't say so, I don't know.
I mean, here is like
It's only focusing about that.
so yoga is keep on. I mean,
Yeah, but that is then it's too much. It says in one word. It says. We have already two words. Eternal soul.
yeah.
Finish.
Yeah, no.
But okay.
Not but still. Eternal souls. Do you agree? Eternal souls. Okay. We have to simplify it. I mean, in one word, but we have only two words.
It's pretty.
Which word you can?
And you can also and look at the some of the chapters what are the main and we have it here before
Oh yeah.
Yeah. From first to sixth. Yeah.
Okay, I think we have it so far. And otherwise we just work it out together. It's actually not easy to come to the wanted point because therefore we do it together. But maybe you can start. What was that you can explain to the others? What is the first division of the first 6 chapters in Bhagavad Gita? What is the main point? What it's all about?
We are an eternal soul.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and we can come to this point of understanding by yoga, doing some kind
Yes,
of type
yes.
of yoga.
So in center is the soul, the jiva.
Yeah.
It's explained what is Shiva, who is Shiva, and how Shiva should act. Yeah. How the Shiva should work. What means karma actually? We didn't translate it till now, but somebody knows what karma means?
Action.
Action. Especially action. I know it's gone already, but it means action, and the reaction is. It's also just like it depends already. It belongs already to the action. So the focus of the first 6 chapters is the soul itself, yeah? And therefore it's the main focus is what should the soul do, yeah? What is the soul doing already, and what should it do? And this is all called under the word of karma yoga. So it's said that the first 6 chapters mainly deal with karma yoga because the soul is in the center. You can approve this? What is the second part, second division of Bhagavad Gita? What would you say are main keywords?
We have the relationship between the souls and Krishna, or yeah. Actually, yeah. It's the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, but that's not the point. But yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah,
it's the essence of Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, but if you
interesting, huh? In the middle of the Bhagavad Gita is already the essence of Bhagavad Gita. It's an interesting point.
The essence is how the jivas act according to how they have or should act to.
Yeah, we came up with 3 words. We were still discussing what words you to do. First we came up with relationship, then came interaction, and then came dharma. So, but we were still discussing what words we were going to say.
What's about the last point, D? It's described here that, as Prabhupada says, he describes several times again his different energies and his opulences, and in this way it's said that actually in this middle division Krishna is in the center. The main focus is on Krishna. It's not about the soul anymore, it's more about Krishna, and especially about bhakti. The essence is already in the center, and it's also described as Bhagavad Gita protects bhakti in the middle. At first it introduced karma, how the self-centered soul should act to come out of this illusion, and then it shows Krishna and how Krishna is approached only by bhakti, only by love. Somebody has a problem with the word bhakti. Everybody knows how to translate it. Devotion, and more precise as devotional service. Yeah. Because it's a very special thing in Sanskrit. Devotion or love, surrendering, is in itself is not the whole word bhakti. Bhakti means active, to have a relationship, an active relationship, devotional service. And it is described already in the middle, especially in the 12th chapter, that bhakti yoga is the essence of spiritual life. It's the whole endeavor of humankind. Okay, so yeah, Krishna Bhakti is the main topic in the middle division, from 7th to 12th chapter. So, what are keywords that you found in the last division, in the last?
Devotional service.
Devotional service, of course. Yeah. But also many other things, yeah?
Well, the chapter 14 recognizes that there is a body, the owner of the body, and the Supreme Soul.
Yeah, yeah. Very analytic. It's very analytic. Analytic, systematic, analyzing, yeah. Very good point. What else we have in these last chapters?
It's an important sentence that all acts should be performed in conjunction with the Supreme Lord, represented by the words Tat Sat, which indicate Vishnu, the Supreme Person.
Okay.
I think that's an important sentence.
Always focusing on the Supreme Lord.
Only all acts you do in devotional services is in Krishna consciousness.
But what's the difference then to the second chapter? We heard in the second chapter, it's mainly Krishna in the center. He explains all his opulences again and again. He explains his control over the material world and over the beings. And what is the specific thing in the last point? So there are words mentioned like knowledge is explained.
The solution. In the third part is given the solution.
Yeah, you can explain it like this. You can say it like this.
I mean, it's very simple. It's the position. The first part is the position of the soul. Second part is the position of the supra soul, and the third part is the solution.
How to connect each other. Yeah. Very good. That's good. So it's called Jnana. Jnana means what does Jnana mean?
Is it the same as Dhyana?
Karma means action, yeah. Then we had, what was the second?
Bhakti.
Bhakti. What means devotional service. And here was in the center the Jiva, yeah. In the center is here Krishna. And now we have here Jnana. And this means knowledge. So the center here is the connection. What means connection in Sanskrit? Somebody knows? Yoga.
Religion.
Connection.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, religions are the same, yeah. It's true. So in this last we understand renunciation, knowledge, to see Krishna in the center. This is the essential knowledge to reconnect with God. And it is explained also here in the first quote. Prabhupada says, all the different methods of reconnecting, yeah, by fruitive activities, by cultivation of knowledge, discharge of devotional service, all this is explained. So in the last chapters then, we get an overview how to connect both soul and God in different ways. Krishna goes very back again to the material modes. He explains the whole material modes in the last chapters, 16 or something, 17. So we may think, oh, but he explained already the whole bhakti, whole surrender to God, and now he goes back to describing the material energies. But he does it that we can really understand now how to connect both through this material contamination. Okay, I think it's very important that we get a little bit an overview before we start with each chapter, what we are going to deal with. Yeah. So we have before what we skipped today. Somebody has any question to this or any comment?
Yes, I have a question. I don't remember when I was reading Bhakti Yoga. Is that the one he says that it's a little bit too difficult for average person, or is that the one which is very good and some other one is too difficult? Like it's a little bit better because it brings him closer, but it's too difficult for an average person.
Somebody remembers what was this yoga? Which type? The name was Dhyana Yoga, and somebody remembers which chapter it was already? Chapter 6. And in the whole chapter 6, Krishna explains Dhyana Yoga. And the roots from this we have now here is Hatha Yoga, yeah? And all kinds of exercise, yeah? This is a small part of Dhyana Yoga, like 8 steps, Ashtanga, Ashta means 8. So there are 8 steps and one part is the Hatha Yoga. And then there are many other things described in the 6th chapter. And then at the end of the 6th chapter, Arjuna says, sorry Krishna, but this is too difficult for me. And then starts the second part. Yeah, after the 6th, 7th chapter starts with focusing on Krishna and Bhakti. Yeah. So then it says, all this Ashtanga Yoga, it's super difficult. Yeah? All this just breathing and sitting quiet, and you try to concentrate on the power in your heart, but there's no connection with Krishna actually. It's just for yourself.
Actually,
soul is in the center.
Actually, Jnana Yoga is meant to find this Supreme Lord in your heart. I mean, like
yeah.
it's called Paramatma.
Paramatma.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's really focused on that.
Hmm.
Then you can find only 4 aspects of God, like knowledge, power, and yeah,
Two others.
2 others. I mean, but there
from the 6 or
from the 6.
yeah. Ah, interesting. I didn't hear this. That's a good point. Okay, so now we have only half an hour. When you go back to the first pages here in this small little book, there's Srila Prabhupada's comments on each and every chapter in Bhagavad Gita. And chapter 1 is only very short. He says, the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, is more or less an introduction to the rest of the book. So, what do we read there? What we did in the Bhakti Shastri course was we read every shloka in Sanskrit and then in English, but it would take us too much time. Yeah. So I don't know if we can make this. Was not sure how many people we are and if we shall do this, or if we just go through some main verses. Yeah. We should read at least maybe the first 10 verses. And how many people we are?
8.
10. Yeah. We are 8 people, so 9 with me. So maybe we make the first 9 shlokas, and let's see if we can derive already some topics to speak about. There's enough already. We don't read in Sanskrit. We will start later with Sanskrit in the next. I would like to give you also one homework for one shloka to learn. Yeah, it's a very nice meditation to start learning shlokas. Somebody did it already at home?
Yeah, but I forgot everything.
You did many already. Forgot
I
everything.
forgot everything.
So it's nice to start again. You had one? Okay. So I will just start with the first text. And we make it today only in English. So next time we can make it in Sanskrit. And we also have not the long introduction that we had today. We can directly start with Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? Shall we go on, or shall we immediately go into the verse?
We go on.
Let's go one round and then we see what questions. If you have any questions, write it down maybe. And
yeah, sorry, I think I'm missing a page here or something. No,
you want another one?
It's the very first verse.
Strange, but
It's chapter 1.
We have another one. Okay, you can read the second chapter.
yeah, my ear is
Second verse.
The second verse, sorry.
It's in Dutch, but I can try to translate it.
Or yeah.
I can read directly in English.
Yeah, you can translate, and if you cannot translate in English, you can write. This is the first, yeah? And you read the second.
The Bhagavad. Okay, this is true. Sanjaya said, O king, after the
Kun je deze lenen dan even?
Yeah, take yours.
I think you go with it.
Van beter English.
Okay, thank you. Sanjaya said, O king, after looking after the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhana went to his teacher and spoke the following words.
Okay. Verse 3, right?
Yes.
Yes.
O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada.
Text 4. Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhima and Arjuna. Great fighters like Duryodhana, Virata and Drupada.
There are also great, heroic, powerful fighters like Drishtaketu, thank you, Trikitana, Kashirai, Raja, Purudit, Kunjiboja, and Shaidi.
Daarna zijn er nog de machtige Yudamanyu, de uiterst krachtige Uttamanyu, de zoon van Subhadra en de zoon van Draupadi. Al deze krijgers zijn grote strijdwagenvechters.
Strijdwagenvechters.
Ja.
Mooi.
Woord, hè?
But for information, O best of the Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force.
There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashvatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somatata, called Gurishraha, who are always victorious in battle.
Okay, I will read one more. There are the. So. Where are you? Chapter 9. In battle, and I read the last one of this part. There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for many sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons, and all are experienced in military science. So, when we think about, we understand that these first 9 shlokas are just names of people. Introducing people who are taking part in what?
The Battle of Kurukshetra.
The Battle of Kurukshetra. And there are already some very important names. The main important name, Krishna, comes much later. Text 15. No? It's introduced much later. But now we understand why it's so important to know what is Mahabharata all about. So, when we see Bhagavad Gita, when we see the dialogues in Bhagavad Gita, we see that there are 2 different dialogues going on. What is actually the main dialogue that you understand from this first shloka?
Between the blind king, and his secretary Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya.
Exactly.
He's blind, and that's why he has to ask everything his secretary Sanjaya. He was able to see about mystical powers.
Yes. And the second dialogue, of course,
Krishna and Arjuna.
we see now here.
This is later.
Oh, here now.
No, this is later.
Here's second dialogue already.
They analyze the power on both sides.
The second verse says that Dhanjaya went to his teacher. Who was his teacher? Then we have to look in the purport. If we didn't read until now Mahabharata, then we see it's Dronacharya. So we have second. No, Duryodhana. Yeah. Oh, can you read this? Duryodhana speaks with his teacher. And this is Dronacharya. So this is like the second dialogue. Yeah. Now when in the next shlokas they are speaking, and later starts of course another dialogue, Arjuna and Krishna. Yeah. And Arjuna. So, somebody of you knows already who is Dhritarashtra, the blind king.
Volgens mij was dat de koning van de tegenstander.
He is the king of the whole world at this time, exactly. And
but he is not allowed to be a king because he was born blind.
exactly, very nice, you know already. So he's a blind king. How can a king of the world be blind? It doesn't work very well. So somebody else was supposed to be the king. Who was it? The second son. You know his name?
No. But he's the father of Arjuna.
Exactly. So we have Dhritarashtra. And what was his name? Exactly. Pandu. Yeah. So their father is Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva.
Whose father is Panda? Arjuna.
And they have another. Is Vidura. When you go into the Bhagavatam, he has a very important role. Vidura, he reveals a lot of scriptures. He's always very good advisor of Dhritarashtra. But Dhritarashtra, he has sons. You know? 100 sons. And one of them is Duryodhana. But can you understand? And
so how many wives he had?
Only one. It's a very special story. He had a very, very chaste wife. Yeah, Gandhari, I think. And so when she heard, I'm going to be married to a blind man, immediately I will blind my eyes also. And then for the rest of her life she had only blind eyes, also blindfolded with a cloth, because she didn't want to see more than her husband. She didn't want to be more elevated than her husband. And then she got pregnant by him, but it was a failure. It came out only a hard piece of stone or something. And then, yeah, she was a special story why it happened, and then the Rishi came and he gave the blessing. Okay, you have the blessing, you have 100 sons, and I will give you the blessing that if you cut this in 100 pieces, this stone, they will all become boys. And when the first boy came into life, there came a voice from the sky. This is a very demoniac person. He will ruin your whole dynasty. He will bring great suffering for the whole world. Abandon it. But Dhritarashtra said, what? My first son? No. No. Let's see how bad he really is, and then we can decide later. And again, many rishis came and said, this son is very bad for you. He has you completely under his control, and he guides you only in a bad way. He's very demoniac. But still Dhritarashtra, to the last point, he didn't have the power to choose against his son. No. So Duryodhana is the leader of the opposite battle, of the opposite front. Yeah. We have this picture here maybe in the beginning. In some Bhagavad Gita there's this nice picture of the battlefield. You have it? In the beginning mostly.
Yes.
Here.
Here.
Here. Yeah.
Oh, it's a zoom.
This is zoom, yeah. Can I have? Yeah, here you see. There are two big armies, and it's described as 64 million people are there actually.
64 million people died on that battle? In
Except
18 days?
for
Arjuna
in 18 days, yes, this is the whole battle, and only like 10 people survived or something like this.
Oh my god.
10 people?
Yeah.
So in
Only
Second World War, 50 million people died in 5 years.
So it must have been a terrible fight. So when we read in the Mahabharata, yeah, and so somebody knows something about Mahabharata, some basic facts, heard about it. It's the oldest epic scripture. Yeah? We have many epic scriptures, the Homer and the Ilias from the Greek scriptures, and they're supposed to be very old and very big. But they together, 3 times, are Mahabharata. And the date of Mahabharata is not really clear, but it's much older. It has about 100,000 verses. Yeah. And
They filmed it.
They tried to film something. It has 1.8 million words. It's a very huge scripture.
But only 100,000 is left for us. The other is in other planets.
No, verses. These words are in verses. 100,000 verses. So, from Mahabharata, nearly everything is revealed. Many parts of the Vedas are lost over the years, but Mahabharata is completely revealed, yeah, still delivered.
How can you have 1.8 million slokas?
Words.
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 Oh.
Words.
But this is also a lot.
This is very a lot. So when you Google it, it's described as the longest epic scripture we have on the earth.
And how big is it? Like this? Or?
You have to scroll very long.
Oh, but you have books also? Or?
Yes, of course. Yeah. It's in several books. It's a very impressive thing, and as soon as people, academic people, something encounter with it, so they're very impressed. And the special thing is that it's not only very thrilling and entertaining and super capturing. Yeah, it has so much message. Yeah? It explains in all fields of society. Explains so many things in detail, and the essence of this is Bhagavad Gita, spoken short before the peak of tension, short before the war, the main battlefield. So it's very intelligently made. Yeah? All the people who wrote and then fall into sleep, at this point they are all awake, because then it comes to fighting. So it really comes to the point. And so it's a fluid border from this Mahabharata story to the Bhagavad Gita. Here we are now describing the whole situation. Who is who? Yeah, when we read the Mahabharata, we have all these emotions. Dhritarashtra, full of emotions for his son, but still he knows Krishna is God, because he was blind his whole life, but one time he saw something. In the big arena in Hastinapur, there was a big conference, and then suddenly Krishna revealed his universal form. And Dhritarashtra was one of the few people who could see. Vidura, Dhritarashtra, and 2 rishis. Narada Muni was also there. They could see. All the others were just blinded by light. But Dhritarashtra, the first time he saw something, he knew, oh, Krishna is God. And then he knew, oh, my son is fighting against God. This is hopeless somehow. Yeah. So we feel his situation. He's asking very anxiously, Sanjaya, his servant. Yeah? At first he asked him, what do you think? Do we have a chance? Do we have a chance to win? He has great fear for his sons, that they may lose their life. And he wants to keep the whole world ruling, yeah? Because the whole Mahabharata explains very nicely why actually the sons of Pandu, we go a bit further now, the first was, somebody know it? Yudhishthira. You will read about him later. Arjuna and Bhima. And then he had 2 other sons also with another wife. And they are all sons of demigods. So Pandu, he had actually a curse that he never could really have sons in his own, but his wife then called demigods. You know who's the demigod for Yudhishthira? Dharma, the king of religion, or the king of the eternal nature of the soul. Arjuna is the son of somebody know? No? Indra. So we could go into the whole science of demigods, but you just leave it with this. This is Vayu, the god of the wind. So, and we see this is also the god of the material earthly planets or powers. Yeah. Wind is the strongest energy, he's described. And Indra is more for the heavenly planets, yeah. And Dharma is the eternal nature. So when we look a bit just under the surface of Mahabharata and all the stories behind, we see it's a very symbolic message behind it. There's a lot to explore. We could make a whole long seminar only about Mahabharata. It would go eternal. There's so much to go for, really. Yeah, and all the.
But it's a real story.
Of course, the Mahabharata itself says it happened when the Dwapara Yuga ended and the Kali Yuga started 5,000 years ago. This was the situation of the kings at this moment, and this was the whole switching, the yugas.
5,000 years before Christ, or from now?
From now, approximately. So, yeah?
Die halfgod van die er onder Bhima staat. Die halfgod
Vayu.
Vayu, okay.
Yeah. It's the king of the wind. But he is also symbolic for material power, for material elements, for material nature. Somehow. Okay, but it's not main important. It's important to know that they're Pandavas, because they're sons of Pandu, and they are fighting against Duryodhana, because Duryodhana and his brothers and the whole assembly tried to kill the Pandavas from the beginning on. Yeah, they tried to avoid them. They didn't want to give them any kingdom, and then they gave them a little part in the desert, and immediately they made a wonderful palace out of it. And they became very powerful and very successful, yeah? And then they took them everything away by cheating. And then they forced them to go away into the forest for 13 years. And then they came back. They asked, please, can we now get our kingdom back? And they said, no, we won't give you as much as a needle fits in the earth. Nothing, you will get nothing. And they asked, maybe just 5 villages, because we are kshatriyas. We are kings, fighters. Maybe that's an important thing. The 4 castes, somebody can tell them quickly? First,
Brahmanas.
Brahmanas.
Kshatriyas.
What is a Brahmana?
Priests.
A priest. Very good. Also intellectual, clerus, maybe, yeah, so different words for this. Philosophers. Okay, then Kshatriyas we said. Kshatriyas. What are they?
Fighters or leaders.
Administration, leaders, kings, policemen, rulers, let's say rulers.
Politicians.
Politicians, but they have really fighting spirit, and they are very just. If they see something unfair,
They want to protect.
they have to decide to protect the unrich people. They are very much according to truth, inclined to truth. They are very much for chastity. Chastity? Justice. So, what is the next? Vaishyas. What is their goal? Money. Let's say wealth in all directions, because it's not actually money. They want to have a lot of grains, a lot of sugar, lots of cows and milk and prosperity of the kingdom. That's their goal. To make everything nice and opulent. So that's their goal. Not only what we have today, money is the degraded Vaishya.
It's a joke, because they're into the handel, you know.
Yeah, genau. Händler. What is the word?
I don't know either.
Traders, exactly. Traders
Or farmers.
or farmers. Farmers, So also farm is also the same here. So they produce something and then they sell it. It's just one class. And then we have the last class.
Shudras.
No, Shudras, exactly. This is maybe good to clarify.
This is not a caste.
It is not a caste. Shudras are
Workers.
the workers. And they are actually helping all the free. So a priest can have a Shudra for helping on the puja something, that he cleans something, helping something with cooking. And the rulers have Shudras for different things, for preparing their weapons, or for in the administration. Shudras are helping there. Shudras are helping the Vaishyas on the field and on the selling and so. And they all can be Grihastas, means that they are married. Maybe this word is Grihasta. When it now comes up, it's good to clarify. It means Gri means marriage life, and Grihasta means according to spiritual guidelines. And then there's another word, Grihamedi. This means not according to spiritual guidelines. It's just sexual enjoyment.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe it's good. Grihasta and Grihamedi. So then this medi makes it very negative. So there's no control. There's no marriage. There's no responsibility. There's no spiritual inclination.
I thought Grihasta meant householder.
Exactly.
But they are married.
Householder means that you can marry.
Married, and the priest can be married. They all actually can be married. So, but the priest can also be alone. That he is sannyasi and
I just wanna. You said Kriyastra. What is this? EJ? How do you?
Krihasta, yes.
No, is it E and then a J? How do you write it?
G, yeah.
G-R-E. Okay. Okay.
Kriyasta.
Okay, Kriyastra. Alright.
So these are basic things that we are confronted with in Bhagavad Gita that come regularly, and when we read the Bhagavad Gita, the purports, then they are explained step by step after some time there and dot a little bit. It's not all in the beginning, so it's good to have it right in the beginning. And also the names, yeah, that we get a bit to know why Dhritarashtra is asking. Yeah? Because there's a whole history that he cheated the Pandavas for many, many years for their actual
right to the
right,
throne.
yes, for their property.
But Pandu was his brother?
Pandu is his own brother and he died already.
And Vidura also brother?
So also brother, he's still alive, and he's very much trying to convince Dhritarashtra that he's wrong, that he's doing something, that he's cheating, yeah. But Dhritarashtra is not listening to anybody.
Well, but he saw that his son is fighting against Krishna. He wasn't really happy.
But that
he was concerned.
He was very concerned. He was very concerned, and this is
he was very. Yeah, I thought you were going to say he was concerned that they were going to win from Krishna, but it was the other way around. And how came that the pandas at first they were really nice all the time, and who made the decision that they were going to fight? Was this Arjuna?
We will come to the point that Arjuna tries to reject the fight, yeah? Later.
He wants to reject the fight. Okay, this is Arjuna's personal world. But how did the pandas came to the fight?
Krishna.
Because they
came as a natural.
denied that they were thrown in the forest for 13 years.
That's logic.
Yeah, it was a natural development, that it was said there was a big gambling game, and the worst thing that happened was they lost all their properties. There was a cheating gambler, and with what is the word?
Dice.
Dice, yeah, with dice they cheated everything from them. And Yudhishthira, he felt somehow obliged to follow every challenge. Yeah? Duryodhana was challenging him, offer more. And Dhritarashtra, the king of the world, was sitting behind, and he said nothing. He said just, okay, go on. And Yudhishthira then said, okay, then I offer more, I offer next, I offer everything. And finally he offered himself. And then nothing was left. And Duryodhana said, offer your wife, Draupadi. She's also there. And he said, okay, I offer my wife. And then they brought him into the assembly, and she had her period, and in this time they are just separate somewhere in the Vedic times with a cloth, so that they just can relax and nobody disturbs them. And then in this time they send somebody to trap her on her hairs, bring her in the assembly, and to make her naked. She's our property now, we can make her naked. And she was screaming, and she searched for help to each and every one of these kings. And it was somehow like a spell. Nobody said anything. They were all crying. The truthful kings were really finished, yeah, and the others were evil and they wanted to rape her. And then she was just screaming in the end, Govinda, oh Krishna. And they tried to make her naked, but then she had an eternal sari. She had an eternal cloth, and they couldn't make her naked. And after a long time they were so exhausted. Sorry?
What did she have?
An eternal cloth. Endless cloth.
But she was the wife of all 5 sons.
Exactly. They were married to Draupadi.
All 5 of them.
Draupadi. This is a very special story of Draupadi, why she had to marry all of them. But the point was that this was the main reason why they were all so angry, that they wanted to rape her wife. And she was such a chaste, very pure devotee, and very surrendered to her husband. And then they lost everything. They said, okay, you just go now to the forest for 13 years, and when you come back you will get back your property, your kingdom and everything. But then they came back afterwards, and there were much more obstacles. It was much worse than just going to the forest. So many things happened, so many difficulties. And then they came back, and Duryodhana said, we will not give you anything, And they said, okay, then you will have to fight if you don't give it to us. Okay, then you have to fight. And then Krishna came personally. The last time Krishna even came personally and tried to convince them, let's try it peacefully. And
Krishna came to try and convince them peacefully.
Krishna came to Hastinapur, to their main city, to Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana, and Duryodhana was just, he ignored him completely. And Dhritarashtra, he was doubting. He said, I cannot convince my son, and I know that it's not right, but somehow, please forgive us, but we cannot give you back.
Then he was really materially infected, because
yes.
if I would have a son like this, I would kill him.
Immediately. And so many people said to him, kill him. Narada Muni said, you should kill him. So, yeah.
But was that the first time Krishna came, or that was the second time?
He came several times before. They had close contact. He was one of the great kings at this time. He played the role of the normal king at this time. And they knew him well. But some of them knew that he is the Supreme Personality. Some of them knew his opulence. Some got some insight, got some visions. And many people were convinced of this. But Duryodhana not. Dhritarashtra, he was quite well convinced, because he had a vision of Krishna as universal form, which will come in Bhagavad Gita later also, in 9th chapter. Okay. But just to make the situation clear, therefore is the first chapter, especially the first words. The first chapter will bring us much more. We will end here now, but we will come to the point next time. And I want to ask you to read the following shlokas. You can read the whole chapter, but we will especially read text 127, text 130 to 35 as a separate unit, and then next, please make it as topics. You can try to find, this is actually the task afterwards, to find topics for each verse or unit of verses. So the third unit of verses is text 36, text 43 and 44. That's the next.
Sorry, what?
Text 36 and text 33 and text 44.
33?
No, 43 and 44.
43 and 44.
36, 43, 44 is one unit. And next unit is 37 to 43. It's a bit confusing. You will see afterwards.
37?
I write it down. It's easy. I will write it down. 127, yeah. And then we have 130 till 35. You can read it. 35. And then the next is 136, 143, and 145. The next is, I will hold it later on. And the next is 7. Okay, you can read this. Terrible. Very good. So I can give you a hint so far that these are reasons, different reasons for Arjuna not to fight. Yeah. We will start at next to see the whole scene on the battlefield. Yeah, how they started nearly the war, but then something happens. Arjuna struggles. He lifts down his bow, and in the whole Mahabharata it's so clear that he's a fearless fighter. Yeah, he defeated so many terrible beings, yeah, so demigods and demons and all kinds of humans and kingdoms. He defeated all of them. But at this point, suddenly, he breaks down. And all the people on the battlefield, the millions, they see it. What's happening? One of the biggest warriors in this time he breaks down, he doesn't want to fight. What's this? And then whole Bhagavad Gita starts, and the first things is yes?
Duryodhana?
Arjuna.
Arjuna breaks down, yes.
Yes.
That's the last one, is it the 2?
2, 6, 2, 7. Yes. But it's actually already next chapter, and it's one of the reasons. It's one of, also these are all different reasons why not to fight. He gives different, also very logical reasons. Yeah? Not only, as you have many different reasons, and we will research them. That's the next topic. What we do, we want to research them, and then we want to see how Krishna answers them during Bhagavad Gita. In many different ways, every different doubt that Arjuna reveals will be solved completely by Krishna in many ways. And we understand much more deeper why Krishna in this systematic reveals Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so we will not start with memorizing one shloka. Do you want to?
Yes.
Yes? Actually, the first key shloka that is advised to memorize is 2.7. Also, I don't want to make it obligatory for those...
In Sanskrit.
In Sanskrit, yes. But maybe we should read it together at first, yeah? And we have no time today.
No?
It's already over the time. I think we should make it step by step. You have already, what was your first homework?
To learn all
To read the titles of all the
titles
chapters.
of the
Chapters, yeah. And additionally, homework was to this?
maybe
Summary
maybe
of
that.
every chapter.
Exactly, yeah, to know a little bit the content also, what it's all about. And now you have the duty to read this and to make some notes. What is the main reason Arjuna brings not to fight?
Because they are his cousins, family.
That's your homework.
We'll come to this, yeah, next time. Thank you all very much for coming and for following attentively. It was very nice with you. So hopefully you all come back and we will go on. Maybe sing a little bit Hare Krishna. For all those who want to stay, they can stay, sing more. Otherwise, I wish you a wonderful evening.
Markandeya Prabhu ki!
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhu ki!